By the show of hands, tell me, how many of you are starving today? No hands? That's good. Allow me to ask this question again. How many of you are starving for peace within? You see, hunger is not always in the stomach. Sometimes it lives inside our hearts, disguised as irritation, exhaustion, a lump in the throat, or an ache behind the smile. And the society calls it being strong. But isn't it funny? When a tree is cut off from its roots, we call it dying. But when a human is cut off from their emotions, we call it being strong. Maybe that's the reason why we have so many people out there who look alive on the outside but feel hollow within. Here's the truth that we don't like admitting. We love to celebrate our milestones on social media. Weddings, functions, anniversaries, promotions, while quietly collapsing on the inside. I was surprised to learn that according to NCRB report, 1/3 of suicides that happen in India are because of family problems. Now here, allow me to share something. We all would love to go back home and celebrate with our family anything worth celebrating. But tell me, can all of us do that? For some of us, going back home isn't rest. For some of us, going back home means meeting unspoken expectations, unresolved trauma, or people who might love us, but they don't realize how they hurt us. The challenge is that in that small unit of a family, somewhere, everyone is emotionally starving. 9 million people. 9 million people die of physical hunger every single year, and the world recognizes that. But what about emotional starvation? We hide from it. And the more we hide from it behind the busyness and the smiles of every day, the more we starve ourselves in ignorance. But you might say, Meenakshi, what does it have to do with emotional starvation? I would say everything. Allow me to share something. WHO reported that 1 in 6 people live with loneliness. And this isn't just a feeling. It is an epidemic that is linked to 8,71,000 deaths every year. That's 100 deaths per hour. But again, what does it have to do with emotional starvation? While emotional starvation isn't a formal public health statistics, psychology recognizes its closest sibling, emotional deprivation, which we define as something where we lack connection, empathy, safety, security. And the lack of this results in loss of self-regulation, emotional control, relationship health. Let's take a minute and look at that. Most of us face these challenges some or the other time of our lives, and we do. But then we don't recognize it. And when this is prolonged, it turns into emotional starvation, something that we still do not have. And don't take this lightly, because this sits at the root cause of many mental health challenges: depression, anxiety, you name it. Now, allow me to share something from my life. So, in 2022, my beautifully curated life collapsed. Not gradually, suddenly. What happened? Well, my stable career, gone. My relationship, shattered. A 60-year-old professor decided that even if he plagiarized my work, I should not say anything. And when I did, he told me these exact words: "Don't you dare go against me if you want to survive in this industry." That day, my career did not break. But someone inside me felt very unsafe. And that feeling of safety, unsafety, grew tenfold when someone who had grown up with me as my friend, as my partner, told me, "Abuse is acceptable if it ensures your degree." And in that moment, when I heard that, I don't know if you can imagine that, but if you hear something like this from a loved one, it shatters your identity. And somewhere, it pushes you to starve alone while performing success loudly for the world. But fortunately, I had my fairy godmother. That was my mother. She was my first emotional mentor who told me and taught me to choose myself despite the career and the relationship telling me to abandon myself. In a minute, I'll tell you what she did. Over the years, I have met engineers, doctors, businessmen, CEOs, all of them high-functioning adults, but emotionally starved. These people manage big companies, but they cannot say two simple words: "I am hurting." And when you try to teach them emotional intelligence, they listen to you initially, but then they say, "What emotional intelligence? I'm just fed up of this. Is there no one for me? Am I supposed to be there for everybody else? What about when I am breaking on the inside?" And when they say this, their mask slips, their voice shakes, and they whisper, "I'm exhausted. I feel angry. I feel lost. I don't know what joy feels like anymore." And they say this only if they have a safe space. Otherwise, they go numb. And that's why it is important that before emotional intelligence, we talk about emotional starvation. And here, I would like to say this as well. Next time we feel like saying these words, "Why therapy? I am not mental," perhaps allow yourself to remind that yes, I'm not mental, but it's possible that I could be emotionally starved, and I owe it to myself to have a safe space to break down. Allow me to share something else from my life. Last year, in 2024, I, despite being an emotional wellness mentor, booked a session with a well-known wellness coach out there because I couldn't breathe emotionally. And when I did that, I had the intention of going in to sit with my emotions and process them. Unfortunately, as I was there, I was told to watch 3 movies, do the worksheets, and were thrown with some theories. And that's the day I realized why people joke about therapy. So now you might say, Meenakshi, you told us to go to therapy, and then you're telling us it doesn't work. Here, allow me to help you imagine something. Imagine this. You are working, you're normal, you're working, and suddenly your phone rings. As it rings, you look at the phone and you see a number from a loved one, someone you trust. So, you pick up the phone. And as soon as you do that, you hear these words. We are done. I'm throwing your things out. That's it. And as soon as you hear that, your heart jumps into your throat and your body trembles. And a sound inside of you whispers, no, not again. And in that moment, you have 2 options, freeze or act. Thank God in that moment, let's say you choose to act. What do? You book a flight alone, heart racing, body trembling. You go there, you collect your things, you come back home, no drama, no confrontation, and then you sit in your room with whatever it is that you have collected, and you stare at them. And then you realize, these are not things. These are parts of you that you have lost over a period of time. And as soon as you realize that, you cry. That's what it means to feel the healing process. And if you are scared to do it alone, you do it with someone you trust. And trust me, this journey works. Emotions अच्छे हैं. You know what? By now you might have realized this was not just a random imagination. The story was me. And you know, the day I actually got that call, I realized that, you know what? Today is a day when I am willing to go anywhere in the world. I am willing to spend any amount of money to bring back the parts of me that I had abandoned. By the way, would you like to know what those things were? You might be surprised to know, but it was these. 5 bindis. 5 bindis that represents the child, the woman, and the girl that I had abandoned all these years. And when I was bringing them back home, that feeling was amazing. Because that day, I claimed myself. And do you know what that does to a person? It teaches you to never outsource your healing to someone else. Never give your inner child to someone else. And most importantly, never expect the people who have hurt you to keep on expecting from them that they heal you. And that's emotional empowerment. For this, you need to allow yourself to give the permission to come back home. And when you do that, you will find yourself emotionally empowered. Now here, let me ask you. In a world where we all are a modern day Kalidas, cutting the very branch of the tree that we sit on with the chainsaw of our unhealed traumas, from whom are we expecting emotional intelligence? A society that budgets more for death than life, or a generation that has now started to chant, "My Sululu is my Dululu"? Because the truth is, and they know, the truth is that the reality within is too harsh to face all alone. Or you and I, who in this moment are daring to see emotional starvation for what it is. So in this moment, if you're ready, I would ask you to allow yourself to make these 3 simple steps a part of your daily life. The 3S unmasking method. And I'll demonstrate that for you. And I hope you will demonstrate it with me. So let's say you are emotionally overwhelmed. Let me represent that emotional dis-ease with the mask. Let's say in a moment you are emotionally diseased, feeling that. What you do? You take your right hand, do that. You take your right hand and wherever in the body you feel uneasy, you place it there. Stomach, heart, wherever it is, you place it there. And then you close your eyes. And then you just feel your heartbeat. For the next step, you might have to open your eyes. For the next step, you place your left hand in front of you. And you keep staring at it because this is the place, this is the space that you are finally allowing yourself to have that nobody allowed you. So you do that, and then you keep staring at it till the time you trust it. And the minute you trust that your left hand is going to hold your right hand, you remove this hand and you place it here. And then you allow yourself to say these words. You are safe. Today, allow me to sit with you. And then you spend time with yourself. And in this process, if you must apologize to yourself 1,000 times, do it, because you deserve it. And if you're wondering, do these steps work? They work when you give it time and the right intention. And these 3 steps are about understanding the self, your right hand saying self, space, and then self-acknowledge. And this was not figured out in a day. I would say it took 3 generations in my family to understand what actually works. There's no method, there's no tool. There's just this one understanding of what you need in the moment. It began in the 1930s. I would say they were the wanderers who were trying to figure out what is subconscious. Then came the generation who decided to be the seeker, to understand what works and what doesn't work. And now it's us, somewhere helping the world now understand what it means to be with yourself, what it means to allow your truth to break you open. Because that's healing. That's what healing should feel like. And as I said earlier, emotions अच्छे हैं. So today, once again, I ask you to join me and take this legacy forward with you all. A legacy of a revolution, of not being strong, but of unmasking to evolve. Because only when you allow your wounded roots to be tended, you can rise, whole, healed, and human. With a lot of love and a lot of energy, thank you.